Alright, so today I'm gonna try out Fathom Analytics. What is it, and is it a good Google Analytics alternative? Let's find out. Welcome to the channel, my name is Leon. This channel exists to help you improve your website with your web stats. I want to thank everyone that has been liking my videos and has subscribed to the channel because that really helps me get these videos out to a lot more people. As a way to say thank you, I have created a short cheat sheet on how you can grow your website traffic. So whether you have a new domain or an existing domain, if you want to grow your website traffic, just head over to the video description. There's a link where you can download that cheat sheet for free. Also, if you like this video and you want to watch more, there's a link in the video description to a playlist full of videos just like this. Alright, Fathom Analytics. I've done a couple of videos already before on some other Google Analytics alternatives like Piwik Pro, Matomo and Plausible. And today we're going to check out Fathom Analytics. And I have never ever used this program before. I saw it recommended on LinkedIn and my curiosity was piqued. I'm always interested in learning about other programs, but I've never used it before. I read through the website a little bit before pressing record on this video to kind of get a feel for what we can expect today. But this video is really my first impression of Fathom Analytics. Alright, and let's start by taking a look at their website. So it says Google Analytics alternative that is simple and privacy first. So what I've read so far, it really reminds me of Plausible. I expect a simple analytics dashboard. It probably doesn't even use cookies. It's probably going to be very lightweight. That's kind of what I'm expecting, but let's read through the page. They have a couple of impressive kind of other companies that are using their products. Set up in minutes, comply with privacy laws, say no to cookie banners. So that's of course a huge benefit that you do not need consent to use this program. So you don't need to bother your site visitors with a cookie banner. Simple to use, like a lot of recommendations, and of course they're like really banging on Google Analytics for not being privacy friendly. I find that a little bit too black and white, but fine. Features you need, no training required. Yeah, so I can attest to that. Many people are quite overwhelmed when they're using Google Analytics. So simpler is sometimes better. For a lot of teams, they do not need all the features. Let's take a look at pricing and what does it cost? What are the limits? So you have a package of $15 a month. So you have 50 sites included, and then you have 100,000 data points. And data points, I'm not quite sure because I didn't read, but usually this means like page views and other events that you're tracking. So if you're currently using a program like Google Analytics, you can just log in and collect all the events that you're currently collecting. So if you're collecting 1 million events, you'll be on a package of $60 a month. API access, yeah. So I'm kind of curious, how do they track? Like, are they using cookies or are they using a different method? Let's see how it works. Oh, this is a step-by-step, like how you can integrate it. So that's fine. API documentation. No, I'm not interested in API documentation. Let's see. Our features, how Fathom works. Oh, that's this page. Features, cookies. We don't use cookies. So they're not using cookies. I'm expecting something like Plausible, where they take the IP address with some other, and then they hash that and use that as an identifier. Let's check out if we can find it on the site. Imprint, roadmap, status, change log, affiliate data, login, free trial, about Fathom, how we process data, cookie-free scripts. There you go. Establishing if you're, because that's really what the cookie is for. Is this a new visitor? Is this a returning visitor? So this is long, short, we keep hashes. It allows unique visitors over the core. Yeah, this is exactly what Plausible also does. So they take your IP address, they take your browser and device data, and then they kind of mingle that, they hash that. Yeah, salt, IP address, user agent, hostname. Oh, hostname also. So the data is kind of secured in such a way that if somebody gets access to that database, they will never be able to revert that back into a real IP address. That's good. I'm also curious how much time they leave that. That allows to determine unique visitors over the course of 24 hours. Okay, so you can get the returning visitor over the course of 24 hours. So if somebody visits your site and then returns in a week, they will be counted as a new visitor because this only works in a very short time span. So that's of course a short compromise of using this technique, that you're not able to kind of recognize returning visitors in a longer period. But Google Analytics has a lot of difficulties with this as well, even though they are using cookies. So this might not be a very bad thing. All right, let's try to set up Fathom Analytics on my site. I have Google Tag Manager already open. I'm used to using Tag Manager for all tracking scripts. I'm not gonna deviate from that right now. I'm just gonna use Tag Manager to also load Fathom Analytics. So let's go into free trial. I'm gonna fill out this form right now, and afterwards we'll continue with the trial. All right, I filled out my personal data. This is really the screen that I got after I filled out all my information. So my site name, I'm just gonna say leonkorteweg.nl. I'm gonna say create site. So this is the site ID. Yeah, I have WordPress, but I'm just gonna use the HTML embed code. So I'm going into Google Tag Manager. I'm gonna say tags, and as you can see, I have a very particular naming convention where I say 0004 Fathom Analytics. So there you go, tag config. I'm gonna use this. Triggers, I'm gonna say initialization all pages. There you go. So if you want to know more about my Google Tag Manager naming conventions, I will put a link in the video description below where I go over how I name all my tags to kind of get a little bit organized. But right now I'm just gonna hit send. I'm gonna say Fathom Analytics, insert Fathom Analytics. There you go. Publish. So and now I'm gonna load my site just to be sure a couple of times, and I'm gonna say verify site code. Testing. So it's currently testing the site. I hope it will pick it up. So I'm trying again to see if my Fathom Analytics is now loading. Please load your site to test installation. What have I done wrong here? So Fathom Analytics, Google Tag Manager. All right, so I found out that Google Tag Manager requires a little bit of a different approach. So I'm gonna use this piece of script right here. Let's see. So script, create element, script ID, and I need to fill out my site ID right here. So there you go, site ID, and then I can remove the old script. I'm gonna hit save, I'm gonna hit send, publish. Let's try again. So I'm gonna refresh the page. Let's see if I can verify if it is working. So, kind of lost the screen that I was on before. I don't really know how I can go back to it. So my sites, let me see. Emails, imports, billing, referrals, dashboard. Okay. Oh. Okay, somehow it sees people on my site. So that means it is probably working. Even though the automatic like checker didn't really work, it sees people on my site. So yeah, what happens if I go into blog? Does it see anything? Is there some real-time data also coming in? So for instance, do I need to refresh? Yeah, blog. So it immediately sees what is happening. So this is, I think, an advantage over a program like Google Analytics, where data is not processed in real time, especially if you're like really on top of what is happening. Like you're doing something today and you want to see immediately, like, is it working or not? In GA, it can take up to 48 hours for your data to appear. So that is really, in some cases, a downside. I like that you immediately see like the pages that are popping up. So to just show, if I go into privacy, my privacy page, nobody is visiting this page. So if it pops on here, yeah, there you go, privacy and cookies. So this is very close to real time, and I like it. So I've now verified that it is working. Do you really need that customized script, or can you get by with just the regular script? That's the only thing that I'm kind of wondering. Let's just find out. Let's try. So this is just a regular script. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna paste it in. I'm sorry, my GTM is currently quite messy. Analytics, there you go. Tags, Fathom Analytics. Do I really need this custom piece of code, or can I just drop it in right here? Let's just try. Fathom Analytics, publish. So I'm gonna visit this page again, privacy cookies. And now I'm gonna visit conversion optimization, this page. Yeah, conversion optimization, visitors, views. If I refresh, I get probably 1 visitor, 2 views. Yeah, it is like real time, and it is also just working. If you just put the regular script in your GTM, it works fine, even though the automatic verification says it doesn't. So this is how you set up Fathom Analytics. Let's go over if you can set up some kind of IP filtering and conversions. Let's go into settings, your site name. Let's see what we can do. You currently have no events. So I have no clue how to set up conversions on this. Are there even conversions here? Or can you just set up events and that's it? So let's Google Fathom Analytics conversions and let's see what we got. Creating and using events. I guess. Yeah, there you go. They're not using track goal for goals. So in Fathom Analytics, you're not tracking conversions, you're tracking events, and every event is probably the same. Allowed event names, but I just want like a conversion goal for my contact form or something. Is that even possible? Fathom Analytics contact form conversion. So there's a WordPress plugin. What are they doing? Fathom Analytics conversions. Okay, that doesn't really help. Fathom conversions. There's an entire site called Fathom conversions. Oh, that's the site for the WordPress plugin. But I wanted to know from the Fathom conversions documentation. Oh, and they're not using track goal. All right, so let's try to track a conversion with Fathom Analytics. And obviously you need a little bit of technical knowledge to do this because you, as far as I can see, you need to use a piece of code in order to track an event. So let's go into Tag Manager and I'm gonna create an event for my contact form. So 0401 Fathom contact. And I'm gonna say a custom HTML. I need to put this piece of code inside of script tags because this is JavaScript code. Fathom track event, and I say contact form submit. And I'm just going to use this notation because I'm used to it. And then triggering, I have already a thank you. No, I don't have it. So let's do a thank you page trigger form contact. DOM ready. I know it by heart because I set it up so many times. Page path contains contact thank you. So this is the thank you page after my contact form. So if people fill out this form, let's show it real quick. So test.nl, and if people fill out this form, they go from contact into contact thank you. My contact form is quite slow, but yeah, there you go. Contact. This is it. So contact bedankt. It's thank you in Dutch. So page path contains contact bedankt. Okay, and then save. This should do the trick. So I'm gonna go into preview mode to just test if this is working or not. And I'm gonna just put the thank you page into my preview mode, say connect. So here it is. Let's see if I already see something coming through. Events. So it didn't pick it up yet. Okay, so this doesn't come through immediately. I'm kind of wondering, like, is there a better way? So if you are watching this and you're like plucking your hair out because I'm like really overlooking something, please leave a comment down below if there is a better way. But as far as I can tell, setting up conversions, you'll need pieces of code. And they're clearly against using Google Tag Manager because they're saying that it is illegal for some reason. But if you need to use code in order to set up conversions and you're not allowed to use Google Tag Manager or they're not recommending it, I'm kind of wondering, like, do you really want me to go to the developer to set this all up? That feels like going back 15 years in time, if you know what I mean. So I'm a little bit confused by this, but let's move on. Let's check out how we can set up IP filtering, because especially on smaller site, I want to exclude my own traffic and the traffic of my colleagues and coworkers. So let's go into settings and see what can be done. Again, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just clicking around and checking what is happening. So blocked IPs, this looks good. So here's my IP, save. Oh, you can also block countries. This is kind of useful because some countries tend to generate a bit of traffic, spam, allowed domains. This is also useful. So if you have testing domains, you can just exclude other domains. This is like really practical. I wish GA would have this feature, to be honest, because I need to come up with all kinds of exclusion triggers in Google Tag Manager if I want to disable some other domains. I really like this feature. Everybody should implement this. But my blocked IP, it can take up to 60 seconds to apply. So before I enabled this IP filter, my visits would immediately appear here. So let's just test if this is also working. So I'm going into like the Google Tag Manager training page. Let's see if this is still coming through. So I'm gonna look for training and it says no data. So I'm assuming that the IP filter is currently working. So that was also really easy to set up. I like it. All right, let's go over the reports, or maybe report. I'm not sure if this is all that we are currently getting, but as I said, it appears that it is real time. So if you visit a page, it is immediately shown here. I really like that. So you can really get the data from today. So in Google Analytics, you will be able to select today, but it never shows any data because it needs up to 48 hours to process your data. So I really like that you can see what is happening today. And of course, I've just implemented it, so I don't have any historical data. It says 1 person to my site, 6 visitors, 16 views, average time on site, bounce rate. So I'm assuming that this is collected. The time on site is calculated just by seeing like all the page views in a row. Event completions, 0. So for some reason, my goal, the goal that I set up, is not like really working. Don't know why. But then you have a couple of things. You have, of course, the pages that people have visited. And this is a strange one. Not really sure what it is. Refers. So where do the site visitors come from? The 2 most important things, traffic sources and pages, all in one glance. And then here you have landing pages and the regular visitors in one report, which is kind of neat. Like landing pages is of course very useful to see like where are people coming in, but also you want to know like how many visitors are visiting that page, even if it is not an entry page. What I miss kind of here in like a landing page report is like how much time do people spend and what's the bounce rate over these pages. So you can get that data, but you just need to click through. So if you want the bounce rate of the homepage in this case, you just select it and then here is the average time and here's the bounce rate. You do not get it from the table here. Maybe I'm missing something. If I overlook something, please let me know down in the comments. But this is how Plausible operates as well. And I'm assuming that this is the same way. Then device types, browsers, countries. I have to say, you really get the most important information in a glance. Events and UTM tags. So if you're using UTM tags, they will show up right here. I'm kind of wondering, I think this is it. So this is all there is to it. Yeah, there are no other reports and there's nothing other than this. So desktop, mobile, I think this is just desktop, mobile, tablet, I'm assuming, like browsers. And then you have, so you do not get like what states, or maybe I can just click through. No, you do not get the region where people come from, for instance. Okay. Compared to, yeah, you can make comparisons, hourly or daily. I'm gonna clear my filters. Yeah, really simple. All right, so how does this program compare to other programs? And of course, I have only been using it for, 30 minutes now. So please take that into consideration. I have not used this much more than just the last couple of minutes that you've been seeing me trying out this product. But let's go over some other programs, because this really reminds me of another program that I am using on a regular basis, and it's called Plausible. So if I go into Plausible, this really functions almost the same way. It tracks the same. It is also very basic, so you get very basic report of your site visitors. Setting up conversions in Plausible is a lot easier. You can just configure that via the basic settings screen, but it is just super similar. So let's compare how it looks as a start. So to be honest, the design of Plausible is just really nice. It is a joy to use. I have been trying it because of a video, but I just stuck around. I really like it. And to be honest, on some sites, I use Plausible more than Google Analytics because I don't need to do a deep dive every day, but I like to see some basic statistics every day. So I just log in with my phone. I don't need a mobile app, it's just in the browser, and I just really like it. You just get, in one glance, you get everything that you would want and need. To be honest, I like the design of Plausible a bit better. I also believe that it is a little bit more affordable. I'm currently paying €9 per month. I'm saying that by heart, but it might be that you lack a little bit of functionality. I remember that Fathom Analytics has some e-commerce functionality available, and I think Plausible has that too, or they're working on that, but you need a bigger package for that. So that might be an advantage of Fathom over Plausible, but yeah, you can see, maybe it is just taste, but I find this looks a little bit better, but it is almost the same. Like, you have the top pages here, you have the sources, the traffic sources in a row, you have the devices and the locations. Here you do have like cities, so I don't think you have that here right now. You have a nice map here. So to be honest, Plausible feels a little bit more mature. And here, goal conversions, as I said, I feel implementing goal conversions in Plausible is way easier. You do not have to hassle with any code whatsoever. All right, let's compare Fathom with Matomo. I have a paid subscription on Matomo, and to be honest, it is not really a fair comparison because Matomo uses cookies. It might be compliant, I don't know, you need to consult a lawyer for that, but it is, I believe the French authorities have agreed that you can just use Matomo without consent, so I think you're quite safe, but it does track a little bit more. It is a bigger program, you're tracking more information, and you are able to track returning visitors. And here it does it kind of, but it only works if people return within 24 hours. And Matomo will recognize visitors beyond that time frame. Let's compare it a little bit. Yeah, so Matomo kind of reminds me of the old Universal Analytics program in a way, where you have just a lot of reports. It takes a lot more time to set up. There's an attack manager built in here that you obviously do not get with Fathom Analytics. So it is really apples to oranges. I would use a program like Fathom Analytics, or my personal preference is Plausible, for just quick, like how many visitors did I get today? What are they looking at? How many conversions did I get? What's the conversion rate? Like the really quick, it's really good for that. Matomo I would use for more deep dive analysis. Like if you want to see like, why is a landing page not functioning well? Is it because of the mobile view or the desktop view? Like, you do not need an overview necessarily, but you want to make a deep dive and you want to like really get to the core of a problem. That will not work if you're using Fathom Analytics only. You cannot get very detailed in your data because it's just tracking a little bit and it's just tracking the big picture. But design wise, yeah, to be honest, I don't really like this. I don't get it. It kind of feels like they just used Bootstrap or something, but maybe that's not fair because there's obviously no data yet, but it's not so polished. To be honest, I don't really like the design of Matomo either, but that is just taste. Let's look at the page view report. So you get much more information like the bounce rate and the exit rates and the average page load time. The time on site is right here. You do not get that with the pages report in Fathom. You need to click on a page to see what's the bounce rate of that page, but you do not get a lot of information about, for instance, the time on that page. And you do get that in Matomo. Let's also look at the traffic sources. So I'm going to clear my filters here. If you compare the traffic sources, here you see the visitors and the views. And if you want to know, like, what are they doing? So you need to filter down. Then you get the average time of those refers, you get the bounce rate of those, you get like the information of the traffic source and probably also the event data and the conversions here. Here you get that in one simple table. So search engines, you can get the amount of visits, what are the actions that they performed, average time on site and bounce rate, and well, maybe you can even add the conversions in here as well. Refers, websites, so there's an entire report on only the refers, only the social networks, only the campaigns that you're currently using. It is just a lot more limited, obviously, but that might be a good thing for your use case. So just see what works best for you. Well, of course, you can set up goals here from within the interface. So if you want to set up a conversion event, you can check out my Matomo video for this, but it is not hard to set up a goal in Matomo. You do not need to know anything about code. In Fathom Analytics, what I've discovered so far, you need to use a bit of code on your site to track conversions. So that's a big difference. You have funnel views, you have A/B tests, heat maps, session recordings, custom reports. Well, again, it is apples to oranges. It's obviously a different program. So hope that helps. All right, let's compare Fathom Analytics to Piwik Pro. How does it stack up? Well, just like my comparison with Matomo, it is really apples to oranges. So Fathom Analytics really reminds me of Plausible, where it is really handy to get a clear overview of what's happening on your site, like a big picture overview where you just log in and immediately get all the statistics that you would want. But if you want to do a deep dive, for instance, you have a landing page that is underperforming, but it is only underperforming from a very particular campaign on a very particular device, like you need to get a little bit deeper in your data, you will probably have a hard time making analysis like that from programs like Fathom Analytics or Plausible. In Piwik Pro, you do get all that information. Also, returning visitors are better tracked because Piwik Pro does use cookies. So it is able to see returning visitors beyond the time frame that Fathom has. So Fathom can only detect returning visitors within 24 hours. So if somebody visits your site today and in a week, they will be counted as new visitors, while Piwik Pro has the ability to track new visitors. So that could be an advantage to you. You do get a lot more ability for building custom reports inside of Piwik Pro. So you could build like a dashboard like this inside of Piwik Pro, but obviously you need to have a little bit of training. You need to figure out how the program works. Goals, setting up goals in Piwik Pro is really easy. You can do that right from the interface. You just fill out your thank you page and it works. In Fathom Analytics, you need a piece of code. As far as I know, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments below. But you need a piece of code in order to track events. They're not really calling it conversions, but they're calling it events. I think you need a piece of code to do that. You cannot do that from the interface. And I find that a big downside of Fathom Analytics. Let's compare some reports. So if I go into the pages report, for instance, I see my pages, I see the page views, I see also unique page views, how many people landed on that page, what's the bounce rate, the average time on the page, and the exit rate. So if you compare that to the pages module inside of the Fathom report, the amount of data that is being collected and that is being presented in this report is obviously a lot larger. You can say things like page title. So if you want to get a different view, or you want only the entry pages or only the exit pages, or you want to have a separate page speed report, you get this all inside of your Piwik Pro pages report, and obviously you do not get that in Fathom Analytics. Something like internal search, I do not have an internal search engine. I don't know how that would work in Fathom Analytics. I don't know if you can even collect that data. So if you're looking for that kind of data, you would need to check the documentation if those things are even possible. Let's go into traffic sources and compare those with each other. So channels, yeah, there you go. So here again, you get the amount of visitors, sessions, the bounce rate, the conversions, conversion rate, all of it. Well, traffic sources here are just visitors and views. And if you want to know the amount of conversions, you need to go into a traffic source, and then probably under events, there your conversions will show up. So again, apples to oranges. Fathom Analytics is just a different program with a different use case. You get a really nice, fast, big picture overview of how your site is doing. But if you want to do deep analysis, you probably are better off with a program like Piwik Pro. Also, I really like Piwik Pro for its design. It's just really responsive, but that's just personal preferences. All right, let's compare Fathom Analytics to Google Analytics. And as I said in the previous sections with Matomo and with Piwik Pro, it is really apples to oranges. You're obviously tracking your web stats, but they're very different. And the use case, why you would use these programs, are also very different. But let's go over why you would use Fathom Analytics and why you would use Google Analytics. And I'm using Google Analytics every day. I really like the program, but I also clearly see some downsides to using this program, and also Fathom Analytics. But Fathom Analytics, I'm really comparing it to Plausible. It is a different way of working with web stats, where The implementation is very quick. Apart from conversions, by the way, I find setting up conversions in Fathom is not really easy because you need to work with some code. And I don't really like that. But apart from that, setting it up is really easy. You probably don't need any training to be able to work with the program. It's really fast, but you only get a very big picture overview of your site, where Google Analytics is much more tailored, much more suited for doing deep dives in your data and really diagnose where problems and pain points exist on your site. And I would have a hard time using Fathom Analytics for that. So what I always like to do is use both types of programs. So I like a program like Fathom or like Plausible on my site for the big picture, but I also need a more deep dive program like Google Analytics or Matomo or Piwik Pro on my site. So if you're looking for a program like an alternative to Google Analytics that only gives the big picture, just go ahead and use Fathom or use Plausible for that. At least my experience with Fathom is very limited, but I really like Plausible. But if you need to be able to do a deep dive in your data, diagnose where problems arise, I think Fathom is a bit too limited. If you want to move away from Google Analytics, I suggest a program like Matomo or Piwik Pro for that. What they say on the site, you do not need a cookie banner. Obviously, that is a big advantage of Fathom over Google Analytics, because in many countries around the world, you need a cookie banner, you need consent before you can put Google Analytics on your site. And that is a big downside because you're only tracking people that give consent for tracking. And that means you miss a lot of data, because if people do not give consent, you cannot track them. I hear some people say, but you have modeling in Google Analytics. Yes, but modeling only is enabled if you have a lot of site visitors. And if you have a niche site, you have a smaller site, then that modeling will not work, and then your data is seriously compromised because of that. So that is a big advantage of using a program like Fathom Analytics, but I believe in many countries Piwik Pro and Matomo are also still allowed without consent. So that is a big advantage of using a Google Analytics alternative. And of course, the amount of training needed in Fathom Analytics is a lot less because you just get a lot less functionality. But if we put the reports alongside of one another, you can just see what the differences are. Engagement, pages and screens. This is the report that gives you like the views over the past 28 days. And then a big difference here is that the views that happen on your site immediately show up in Fathom Analytics. GA4 needs up to 48 hours to process your data. So that is something that I really dislike about GA4, that it just takes so much time to process the data. But it is what it is. It doesn't mean that you cannot do good analysis, because over the last 28 days, you'll be fine analyzing the data. But sometimes you're just doing something right now on the site and you want to see immediately what's happening. GA4 is not really good for that. You have a real-time report, but it's just very limited. So for that, using Fathom Analytics alongside of Google Analytics would be a great way. But then you see the views, the amount of users. Again, GA is much more capable of kind of recognizing who is a returning visitor. Fathom Analytics does not look beyond 24 hours. GA, in many browsers at least, will be able to recognize people if they return for months ahead. So you'll get a clear picture of like how many views, but also how many users have seen this page. Of course, people need to return in exactly the same device, exactly the same browser to be able to recognize that. So that is also not perfect, but it's better than what Fathom is doing. And then the engagement time in GA4 is a lot better because it's kind of in the background checking if the page is still in focus. Like every couple of minutes, it is just checking like, is the person still viewing this page, or I believe every couple of seconds even. So the time spent on a page is like really accurate, so like 18 seconds. And the time spent here is, I'm guessing it is based on like just the page views. It's not checking if the page is really in focus. So the time spent on the site is less accurate than in GA. And I really like that about GA4. So this is, if you compare it to Fathom, you immediately see that this is more limited. We've already discussed that. Let's look at traffic sources. So what I don't like about GA4 is that you have user acquisition and traffic acquisition, where user acquisition, you only get the new users, and traffic acquisition, you also get the returning users. It's just traffic sources. You get the data, but it's just super confusing. And I really like to look at source medium here. But here also users, sessions, engagement time, engagement rate, which is kind of the opposite of bounce rate. And then you get the conversions. It is just a lot more detailed. Here you get the visitors and the views. And if you want to know the conversions, you just need to click through and then see the amount of events completed here. So it is just a different beast. I do believe that you get e-commerce with Fathom, but obviously I don't have a web shop. Let's look at it. Features, even e-commerce. Let's look at it real quick, because I know that some of you will be looking at that as well. So I can't find how e-commerce is implemented. E-commerce implementation. No, it says it has e-commerce. Okay, so you can get e-commerce sales, and you need to do the event tracking for that. And event tracking probably means that you need some code to set that up. So let's see if commerce sale. So you need to set up event tracking, so a custom events, but you don't get an e-commerce report. So obviously that is also a difference between GA4, but also Piwik and Matomo. You do get a full e-commerce report. I don't have an online store, so I cannot show it here, but that is a limitation of Fathom. You do not get a product performance report. All right, that's it for today. I hope this video was clear. I hope it was helpful. Did I overlook something? If you like Fathom Analytics and you're plucking your hair out, did I miss something that was very obvious to you and that I should recommend? Please leave a comment down below. If I get new insights, I will put them in the video description. So you might want to check the video description, because I will update that if people start messaging me, or maybe people from Fathom will message me. I really hope that this was a fair comparison and that it really helps you find a good program to track your site visitors. It doesn't need to be Google Analytics. Google Analytics is just what everybody uses, but it has a lot of downsides, especially using cookie banners, consent mode. It gets really complicated really quickly. It is always good to explore alternatives. So again, I really hope that you got some value out of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.